Welcome to Ken's Conversation. I'm your host, Kenny.
I'm Ken.
And we just want to wish everyone
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.
I had to play that.
Well, they may not be necessarily filthy animals.
They could be filthy animals.
Well, maybe they haven't taken a shower yet.
That's gross. We haven't taken a shower either, so.
Well, Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.
Yeah, well, we just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and hopefully a happier New Year. We haven't recorded in a while. We've just been in a hiatus with all kinds of stuff when we make plans and it doesn't follow through the way that we hoped it would because of, let's just say it's related to a virus-related situation. You want to make plans to travel somewhere, but then all of a sudden the companies or the state will say something that you can't do all of a sudden, or someone got exposed and so you have to back out. There's been quite a few of those instances here, but we're all safe, thankfully.
Tennessee did become number one in something this week.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we had the most coronavirus cases in a single day, up to 10,000.
Yeah.
But I have been noticing the statistics, we'll get back on Christmas, but the, it'll say, 56,000 cases of coronavirus in the state or something of that nature. It does show a number of deaths, which is always unfortunate. And of course, God knows those time frames, but also the recovery rate.
Yeah.
And if it's 64,000, then the recovery rate is like 53,000. So that means that 10,000 cases either haven't reported back as to whether or not those people got well or they're still sick.
We don't know.
No, we don't know. I would still like to see the statistics listed as a comparison and not constantly on the creepy crawler on the bottom of the TV screen. So I'd like to see it say coronaviruses are this many. Well, there's this many heart things, or this many flu, this many this what. And then I would also like to see, hang on just a second. I would also like to see when they're talking about hospital capacities, I would like to see what the total breakdown is, at least for the top 10% of what the capacities are. Like when they say, well, we're at 99% capacity of the hospital. Okay, great. How many of those are for births? How many of those are for surgeries? How many of those are for, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then how many are for COVID related? Because it doesn't put things into perspective and brings this persistent fear factor to the public.
Boo.
I'm done.
You done? Well, we're not here to talk about the virus, are we?
No.
We are here to talk about Christmas stuff. But I will, I guess, so now you got us on a virus rant. I will say that I'm curious to know what this next year is going to pull as far as the Pfizer vaccine.
Or Moderna.
I know that a lot of people are kind of moving around just to see what's going to happen as far as the stimulus package. Everyone's kind of being very open-mouthed about it as far as their opinions go. Of course, if you don't know, President Trump has put out a speech a few days ago saying that he would not sign the stimulus package. Him and his administration has found a lot of money going towards areas that
foreign
country aid, but it's not necessarily aiding. He said a whole bunch of stuff, but it's not necessarily helping the United States, where we're only getting a fraction of that. So, and there's a lot of mixed minds about it. I would like to say my opinion about it. I won't. I know you want to. And
I don't have an opinion.
But I know that like this whole stimulus package is kind of just going back and forth, and like, how the president's doing, how is this helping those here in the United States, especially those that really don't have a job and or has lost their business because of the virus, and how is this going to help them survive up until around spring when this vaccine is finally available to the public. And when this vaccine is available to the public, how effective is it going to be for this next upcoming year? So there's a whole bunch of somewhat high hopes, possibly false hopes, but at the same time, there's also a real reality check to where like we're still need to be cautious and be mindful on what's going on. Now, that's not to say let's go out and then trash everything until we get our way. That's happened before. That shouldn't have been dealt with because a lot of innocent people were affected by that sort of action, and it's not fair for them if they've worked so hard in their own livelihood, small businesses and such,
right,
to just see it all go down the drain by something that they have no control over. And so I just want everybody to know, segueing back into the Merry Christmas festivity holidays, is to be forgiving with one another, be understanding, do what's right, but do it in the smart and wise way.
That's right.
So, anyways, back to Christmas.
When was the first celebrated Christmas?
When? Here in the United States, in the history of the United States?
That would be different than what I was thinking of.
Oh, okay.
In America.
Christmas. I want to say it's late 1700s, so I'm going to shoot ballpark 1793.
Let's see what our friend Internet Search Engines tells us.
Yeah.
The first Christmas celebrated on land that is now part of the United States took place near
Albuquerque. No, I'm sorry, Charleston.
That's pretty close. Tallahassee, Florida.
Okay.
In 1539, according to historians there.
1539.
The region known for sunny weather, so it definitely was not a white Christmas. I'm reading off of something called Seeker.com. The region is known for, it was not a very festive celebration either. It says there were no Christmas trees or presents. Instead, it was a religious observance with a Christmas mass. Spanish explorer and conquistador. That makes me think of something funny. El Conquistador. Hernando de Soto established his winter encampment site of 1539 through 1540 near what is now the historic capital in downtown Tallahassee. He, along with other members of his expedition, celebrated the first U.S. Christmas. Porter, who is also an archaeologist that helped excavate the Florida site, said a written chronicle from the 16th century sheds light on what took place there. 8 months before Christmas, in May of 1539, DeSoto landed 9 ships with over 620 men and 220 horses at present-day Shaw's Point in Bradenton, Florida. DeSoto named it Espiritu Santo, meaning Holy Spirit.
Espiritu Santo.
Espiritu Santo para ti. The ships brought priests, craftsmen, engineers, farmers, and merchants. Some were with their families. Some came from Cuba, but most were from Europe and Africa. Few had traveled before outside of Spain. Anyway, very interesting that it was in the 1500s.
I've got on the history.com on how did Christmas start. So
how did Christmas start?
How did Christmas start?
I think we know the answer to that. There's a word inside of the word Christmas.
I will just read what they hear it. The middle of winter has been long a time of celebration around the world, the centuries before the arrival of the man called Jesus. Early Europeans celebrated light and birth in the darkest days of winter. Many peoples, that's so weird. Many peoples, yes. Isn't people already plural? Or is it the word that's singular? Anyways.
So people might be
English,
a plural reference to a single location.
Yeah.
Peoples would be plural references to many people in several locations.
Okay.
How's that?
How's English for you?
Attaboy, Ken.
That is why English is considered the most complex language to learn for foreigners. But many peoples rejoice during the winter solstice when the worst of the winter was beyond them and they could look forward to longer days and extended hours of sunlight. In Scandinavia, the Norse celebrated Yule from December 21st, the winter solstice, through January. In recognition of the return of the sun, fathers and sons would bring home large logs, which they would set on fire. The people would feast until the log burnt out.
I have made fire.
Which could take as many as 12 days. The Norse believed that each spark from the fire represented a new pig or calf that would be born during the coming year.
That's a lot of pigs and calves. Every spark? Who's counting them?
I know who's...
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
It depends on how big the log is. The end of December was a perfect time for celebration in most areas of Europe. At that time of year, most cattle were slaughtered so they would not have to be fed during the winter. For many, it was the only time of year when they had a supply of fresh meat. In addition, most wine and beer made during the year was finally fermented and ready for drinking.
Merry Christmas.
In Germany, I don't have any more bones for you, sweetie pie. I'm talking to my dog.
He's not talking to me.
In Germany, people honored the pagan god Odin. Really? I thought Odin was Viking. And Vikings came from Sweden?
Sweden?
Can you look that up? Where Odin derived from?
Odin.
In Germany, people honored the pagan god Odin during the midwinter holiday. Germans were terrified of Odin, as they believed he made nocturnal flights through the sky to observe his people. Odin is Santa. No, oh my gosh.
Odin is a Japanese fish steak stew.
Yes.
Wait a minute. That's not the right
and to observe his people and then decide who would prosper or perish. Oh, that's like extreme version of Santa. Because of his presence, many people chose to stay inside. That's
Santa Claus.
Santa Claus. Hey, I don't have any more bones. Stop it. In the early years of Christianity, stop it.
It's time to get to the final days of the Ford built for the holidays.
Yeah, don't do that. We don't want to do that. Whatever the
4-day holiday.
Get off that page.
It's a 4-day holiday. Okay.
This broadcast brought to you by Lily's Bones. Lily, our pet. My son's pet.
It's my pet. You just always like to spoil her.
She loves us.
In the early years of Christianity, Easter was the main holiday. The birth of Jesus was not celebrated. In the 4th century, church officials decided to institute the birth of Jesus as a holiday. Unfortunately, the Bible does not mention date of his birth, a fact Puritans later pointed out in order to deny the legitimacy of the celebration. Oh, good job, Puritans. We're still going to use that day to celebrate Jesus' birth. Although some evidence suggests that his birth may have occurred in the spring. Why would shepherds be herding in the middle of the winter? Haha, that's funny. Whoever wrote that. Pope Julius.
Yeah, because animals don't move in the wintertime. Yeah. What do? Sit down, cross their legs, and watch?
Well, I think they're trying to make a point where the birth wouldn't have happened during winter. But at the same time, that happened at a different location. So
still in the northern hemisphere.
That's true. You're right. But how much in the northern hemisphere?
That's true. It could have been like down in the...
Is Israel on the same degree
elevation
as us
above sea level.
No, that's above sea level. I'm talking about
Makes a difference.
I'm talking about the distance from the equator.
I'm looking up a couple things. Keep going.
Yeah, that's fine. Although some evidence suggests that his birth may have occurred. Who's this dude?
I don't know. It's gonna make noise.
Pope Julius I chose December 25th. It is commonly believed that the church chose this date in an effort to adopt and absorb the traditions of the pagan Saturnalia festival, which I skipped over.
Okay, so I'm going to interrupt you for a second.
Yes.
The Dead Sea, in and around Israel, right, is 1,368 feet below sea level. Mm-hmm. So it is warmer because of that. Because of the negative elevation from sea level, it gets warmer, right? So
if you're not in water,
yeah, I mean that's in
because doesn't it? Well, are you sure? This is. I thought like for
closer to the Earth core.
Yeah, but but you can't say that if, for example, you go deeper into water, the colder it gets. Also, the deeper you go is. Let's take mountain diving for example, or into a cavern. Does it get colder the further you go down into a cavern, or does it get colder?
As you said before, it depends on the longitude from latitude from the equator. Geography of Israel is very diverse, with desert conditions in the south and snow-capped mountains in the north. It's located at the eastern end of the Mediterranean Sea in Western Asia. It is bounded by the north by Lebanon and southeast by Syria, the east by Jordan, and the West Bank. To the southwest by Egypt. But Israel, as we know it today, is not the Israel of the Promised Land. The Israel of the Promised Land was much larger, way larger.
Trying to read a whole bunch of stuff, trying to go through.
And it is 31 degrees north. So it's about, if I'm not mistaken, it is about the same as where we are.
It's time to get to the final days of the Ford.
Well, I don't know. It's time to get to the final days of Lily's bone chewing efforts. I think you need to get off that page.
Well, if Ford could just stop butting in. I'm Ford. Ain't going to butt in.
This is not the automobile manufacturer. Actually, this is the Ford that stands for Fix or Repair Daily. So, no, it could be Fjord. Oh, speaking of Norsemen, Odin. I know where you were going with Odin. Yes, his Thor's father.
I wasn't going there, but I'm glad you understand that.
Odin is the god of wisdom, poetry, death, divination, and magic in Norse mythology.
And where did Norse...
He is the son of Bor and the giantess Hotun Bestla. Odin is the chief of the Aesir and king of Asgard. He is married to the goddess Frigg and is father to the gods Thor, Balder, Hur, Vjar, and Vali. I'm probably butchering those Norse names.
Probably.
So forgive me, all you Norse descendants.
So what was my original question?
Who was he?
No. Where did he come from?
Where he's a Norse, like a mythological.
So where's the Norse come from? Norse mythology come from?
Norse is over there. Is
I have the answer here.
Is Norse in Norwegian language, especially in its medieval form. Norwegians or Scandinavians, especially in medieval times. Old Norse, Old Nordic, or Old Scandinavian was a North Germanic language that was spoken by the inhabitants of Scandinavia.
That answers my question, because the article I read from history.com mentioned Germans were believed in Odin.
What is Scandinavia?
What is Scandinavia? Old Scandinavia, which it just said it's Germanic, isn't it?
Well, but there's more to it than that.
Well, I think we
went down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, we did. Well, I think we just wanted to know, where did this Christmas date started? How did it became? And yes, there are definitely different traditions mixed in to this particular date. I guess that's why it's so controversial, like how people say it. You and I will continue to say Merry Christmas no matter what.
Not happy holidays.
Not happy holidays. And I think if we were talking about historically, I don't mean like in today's culture. I'm talking about historically, everyone had their own thing for this particular date, and one thing led to another. Jesus is the reason for this season in this family. And we kind of just use that. It's also, if you want to go even further down the rabbit hole, we're not trying to cancel your traditions as far as like making cookies and putting presents under the tree or decorating your house and stuff. We're not trying to tell you to not do that if you are Christians. I think, but we have to understand that Jesus is the reason for this day. At least that was announced unto us. And I don't know, for Christmas, for me, we would spend a lot of time baking cookies, a bunch of cookies, which Dad and I have already went through our favorite batch already. I had to snatch a couple of them for other people's to share. Snatched.
Them.
Yeah.
Scandinavia is Norway, Sweden, and Denmark.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for that commercial.
And for me, it would, I guess my Christmas would be Christmas lights, Christmas tree, some presents, and then baking cookies, and then watching a whole bunch of Christmas movies, at least what I enjoy. Now, the Christmas movies that I enjoy are Home Alone 1 and 2 only. There are other Home Alone movies that are not good.
You're talking about beyond Macaulay Culkin. What's his name?
Kevin Macaulay Culkin? Is it not Kevin? I thought it was Kevin. I know who you're talking about.
Macaulay Culkin.
Macaulay
the actor.
Culkin, yeah.
1 and 2.
1 and 2. Grinch.
The new one. Not the cartoon.
Well, which new one? Because there's a new animated one with Benedict Cumberbatch.
We call it the original. You like the Grinch, the one with
Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey.
Yeah. That I also, I'll put in Christmas Vacation. That's definitely in your mix as well. Christmas Vacation one. I want to put at least one more, and I'm trying to think. So why don't you name
Die Hard.
Control is not Christmas. It happened during Christmas. Oh, by the way, Hook is not considered a Christmas movie. However, if we're getting technical,
no less than Die Hard.
If we're getting technical, it happened during the Christmas holidays. Look it up. There are at least 2 articles that says it happened during Christmas in London. So, and it has somewhat of a appreciation of how a father should act towards his kids and Merry Christmas and blah blah blah. So, say I'm wrong. Go watch the movie and fend for yourselves.
What does he say? Stop acting like a kid when you grow up.
I am a kid. So those are my top 5. What about you?
Top 5 Christmas movies.
Mm-hmm.
It's Wonderful Life. Jimmy Stewart. Black and white or color, like them both. Just the color kind of adds, like, it's probably either historically written down and how they colorized their outfits, or somebody's great imagination. They did a pretty good job with it. Excuse me. I need a cough button.
A cough commercial.
A cough button. And then I like Miracle on 34th Street. the original one from the 50s that has Natalie Wood as the daughter, the young girl. I think that's really good. Then I like Christmas Vacation with Chevy Chase.
I always see you kind of like him. Not not in the bad way that people may see him, but definitely in the comical way I can see.
Yeah, like me that. Stapling lights to the roof and
just like there you go.
Oh, and the ice flying through the neighbor's window and stuff. That's funny. Anyways, there's so many good one-liners in that movie. So how many was that? That was 1, 2, 3. Well, there's this. It's really hard for me to understand how somebody doesn't like Elf. I mean, there's a lot of people I know that don't like Elf. Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
Right? They just don't like him because he can be, I've seen him both ways. I've seen him in really great acting, really funny comical stuff when he was in Saturday Night Live. And at the same time, I've seen him in some really tasteless, bad, just, you know what I mean? Extreme. He's kind of like the old,
hit or miss
to me, is like Eddie Murphy was the same way. Eddie Murphy could be super, super funny and be clean mouthed. And at the same time, he could be just totally nasty and not funny. But at the same time, he could be a good actor. I don't know. He just kind of the pendulum swung both ways with these guys. But I like Alf. I think there's some, there's some really great one-liners. Zoe Deschanel's in it, and that's where she's one of my favorite actress ladies.
You've been watching her in New Girl too.
Yeah, she's just very funny and she's very cute. So where am I up to? 4?
Yeah,
I have to come up with 5.
Yes, you do.
Stop it. What did I watch the other day by myself? Oh, I run out of 5. Let's see. I like the old the Charlie Brown Christmas.
Yeah.
Because he's the underdog and people don't like him, but in the end, it also helps give the message of what Christmas is all about, because he doesn't like the commercialism of Christmas. So
yeah. I will say as a wholesome Christmas, let me take that back. A magical Christmas movie, I would probably put in Polar Express, just because it's one of the few movies that makes it, I don't know. And I'm not saying like any of that, the true aspect of it. I'm just saying as far as cinematic wise and me watching it, I'm like, hey, Chris, don't forget that all this stuff that you're worrying about, as a kid, like, here's some of the things you need to look on. And then they learn that, they start to learn the things that, like, oh, you need to lead, but it's about showing others that makes you a good leader,
right?
Being a good example, and then being honest, and then believe, of course, was the kind of the big catcher or whatever. Take what you can from it. It's one of those movies like that was a good wholesome movie,
right?
Nothing like to stray from anybody about whatever. It was just kind of like
hot chocolate, hot chocolate. There was somebody was talking about that movie on the radio on the way to work yesterday, and they were talking about the that some people have said that it has parallel religious connotations in it, like the ghost that's on top of the train that he ends up having a little fire with and everything, and they're walking through that's the Holy Spirit. I had never heard any of that before. I'd never heard any. I'd have to. We'll have to watch it again.
And of course, that's not part of the original book. When I was a kid, I remember the book when I was a kid, and when they finally made a movie off of it. All right, I need to take something away from my dog.
She's fine. She's shredding a blanket. We have Kenny's dog Lily is a shredder. You know how some dogs like to pull on blankets and things. She is given by her grandmother. Kenny's mom gives her a blanket, and then she likes to pull on it with her front teeth. Of course, she's about 50 pounds, so when she's pulling on the blanket and chewing on the little pieces, and one of the things that I was reading about was that dogs that do that chew on blankets, that's different than just chew toys. But as they chew on blankets, it's they're relieving boredom. It could be anxiety, their way of dealing with it, and it really makes her happy. She really, really loves doing that. But
it makes her happy. It doesn't make me happy when she does it.
Well, she's pretty good about not chewing on the other blankets. She will start in on other blankets, and she has chewed up a couple of beds that she's had, but she's really not a chewer.
No,
you know, like some dogs will shred shoes and things. She did as a puppy. Sorry, Andrea, about your shoes. Andrea, if you're listening to this, then you'll understand that we are very sorry about your shoes, and I still have a photograph of that shoe.
I will say, for those that do have dogs and wondering what to get them, if they're a shredder, make sure you get a specific blanket that's not expensive that they can chew on. If you're up to cleaning a lot of stuff that they take off. Now, thankfully, Lily has learned not to swallow them. She kind of just spits them out for us to clean up. But as far as chew toys, that tail. As far as chew toys, I would recommend no other companies but Kong. They are not sponsoring us. It'd be nice if they did. But I bought them this red stick, and it has withstood her mouth.
She's not been able to take any pieces off of it. Very, very little. And a Kong flying disc.
Flying disc is her frisbee. I think that I got her.
That's a name. That's a brand name.
Is it
Frisbee?
Kong
Frisbee is made by Mattel. Anyway,
okay.
But that's why I said it's a flying disc.
Okay.
So she has a Kong red rubbery kind of flying disc. Mm-hmm. She's tore a couple of pieces off the edge of that out in the summertime, but it has stood up. And then of course they have those cone-shaped ball-looking things with a hole in it that you can stick treats or peanut butter in or something. And she hasn't shredded that. So
yeah, but I would highly recommend Kong. They have yet to steer me wrong. I got another toy for her for Christmas.
Shh, she's listening. She might hear you.
She don't know.
She does. Sometimes we talk for Lily just like the guy did in Frozen when he's talking for her, the deer.
Olaf?
No, that's the snowman. The very, very funny snowman.
What did you say?
The guy, the woodsman.
Oh.
Whatever his name is. Jeff.
I think it is.
It's Jeff the Woodsman.
I think it is a simple name. Frozen character.
Jim.
It's probably
Sven.
Bob or
Kristoff.
Yeah, we had it.
I knew it was just Scandinavian. All of this will make sense when I am older.
Dad gets a kick out of Olaf's song from the Frozen 2.
Just thinking about it, it's very funny.
I
like funny stuff. Do you know that smiling takes fewer muscles than frowning or being angry?
Yeah, that's true.
You have like 52 muscles in your face or something like that.
But I feel like, but to constantly smile, or maybe like always doing that a bunch, wouldn't that be tiresome? So here's the thing: if it's easier, how come on average we don't smile a lot if it takes up less muscle? So I don't get that.
You gotta find humor in everything.
I guess so.
I mean,
don't take light of anything. Don't take it serious about it.
It's tragic. I think Mom's even talked about this. That my wife has talked about this. She said, like if I'm in the hospital and I'm dying, or even when I'm having surgery and stuff, she's even heard me making jokes. Like this might, like for example, one year I had both. I had an endoscopic procedure where they take a camera and they go down your throat and they look at your stomach and esophagus and all that. And in the same couple hours, they also did an exam of my colon.
Yeah.
So I remember that particular time because my wife went with me and Rich Bird was there because he was driving.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in Southern Hills in Nashville.
Yeah.
So they were putting me out. They had rolled me into the procedure operating room. And as the medicine was making me get ready to go to sleep, they were moving stuff around and they were talking to the nurses and stuff. And I said, I hope you're going to do the upper end first.
Wow.
So I was still joking, and I was getting, they proceeded to put me to sleep very quickly because they wanted to shut me up. They shoved something in my mouth, made me go to sleep. So, yeah, I find humor in. You got to find humor in most situations, and be sensitive to those around who may not find it humorous, but you try to make light of it. Like there's this one. Well, this is just random. There's a place that I stop occasionally to get coffee in the morning at a gas station. And
what's the place called?
Twice Daily.
Twice Daily.
Yeah, but I just go once. So this lady is finishing the midnight shift.
Mm-hmm.
So at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, she's leaving. And she never smiles. Never. Finally got her to smile the other day. It was like, was it 2 days ago or is it yesterday morning? She's supposed to be shopping for 17 people for Christmas. And when she had told me that 2 weeks ago, I was like, oh, how you ready for Christmas? And she goes, no, I got 17 people to shop for. She was so serious, and like, and haven't really seen her smile or joke around with any of her employees or friends. And so I think it was yesterday morning. I stopped in to get just a medium coffee, and I said, so did you finish your shopping for your 17 people? And you could see just the corner of her mouth curl up, and she almost smiled, and she said to her two fellow employees who were very happy.
Yeah.
She said, that's what we were just talking about. I said, well, you still have time. It's Christmas Eve, right? And she goes, yeah, and she actually smiled. So it's funny. I don't know how we got off on that. Lily, stop. She's chewing my jacket.
Lily, come here. Come here. Sit. Stay.
Did y'all see that? Someday we might have a video podcast.
At some point. Or I'll just do a small section of it.
And I know Kenny wants to do a gaming thing.
Yeah, we're overdue.
Way overdue.
But going back to Christmas stuff, yesterday, I have never seen the parking lot of Target so jam-packed on Christmas Eve. Just last-minute shoppers. I know it used to be bad, it used to be crowded and stuff like that, but either I haven't seen it in a while, or because of how this year has went, it feels like it's been amplified a little bit more. Because I didn't go to Target. I went to PetSmart to get something for Lily, and I was like, hey, what time do you guys close? When I called them, they said, oh, we close around 6. I'm like, okay, perfect. I can get the necessary nutrients for the coming winter for my little dog and her present that I almost forgot. And I was driving by Target and it was almost full, and I was just amazed on how many people were doing last minute shopping. It just, to me, it doesn't make sense why you would save unless maybe there's like a last minute deal going on in the retail store that they're doing or something. I don't know, but to me it feels like maybe people enjoy that, but I would not like the hustle and bustle of trying to get a last minute gift when you could have done that Black Friday or Cyber Monday.
I may have done that yesterday.
You may have done that. That's
but
fine.
I didn't go into one of those stores. But my observation of that yesterday, because it seems like all the parking lots and stuff that I went by, is I think that there are a lot of people who work very hard and they just can't get out, or they don't, like you said, they don't make an effort to get out because they're watching football, whatever their situation is.
Yeah.
And this year's no different. I'm really getting tired of hearing in these uncertain times. That's really a bothersome phrase to me today. These uncertain times. It's uncertain every day. This particular year of 2020 isn't any less or more uncertain than any other time, if you think about it. So, again, I think people are capitalizing on that. There was something I was going to talk about.
Yeah.
I forgot what it was.
You forgot what it was.
I did see something cool. Oh, so I keep scrolling up and down and looking at this thing that I found. It was because the Christmas star thing this week, right here in the Northern Hemisphere.
I didn't get to see
particularly.
that.
I don't know about the Southern Hemisphere. They just gotten off their
I don't know.
full lunar eclipse.
Yeah.
Not too many.
Yeah.
A week ago or so, in Chile, it crossed through.
Yeah.
So, the Christmas star was the convergence of Saturn and Jupiter, I believe, where they crossed over and they were kind of, the light of both were laid upon each other. Did you see it?
I have not. I heard a lot of people talking about it, but I unfortunately didn't get to see it.
So it was usually right about the time I was getting home. Plus, Venus was really super bright in the morning skies too. And I was going to work. I tried to take a couple pictures. iPhones don't do a great job of taking pictures while you're driving of stuff in the distance.
Well, especially when you have an older phone.
Yeah, some of them have. So let's just say I have a version that is less than 7. And greater than 5. So while I was looking at the constellations and things, trying to make sense of it, I've got this app on my iPad that lets you kind of hold it up to the sky. You can see constellations, satellites, and all these other things. And I like pointing it down to see, like, the Earth is removed. You can see down through the southern pole of the Earth and see what's down there. There was this thing that said rocket body.
Rocket body?
Rocket body. And I kept zooming in on it, and I was looking at it. And sometimes you can tap on it, and it'll tell you what it is. In this particular case, it just said rocket body. So I went on the internet, and I said, rocket body orbiting Earth or something or other. And I came up on this, on space.com, an article that talked about it. Is a vintage, if you want to look this up, I think it's kind of cool if you're into this kind of thing. A vintage NASA moon rocket body is officially back in Earth orbit for now. This is a relic of the early days of spaceflight that came back to pay a brief visit to Earth. It is the upper stage from a 1966 robotic NASA moon mission called Surveyor 2. If it's they say it's the Centaur upper stage, who said that the rest of the article that every few days or I'm sorry, 54 years or something like that will come back and pass by the Earth. It was interesting because I was looking up the Christmas star, and like I said, if you're into
so wait, is this an old part back in when was this launched?
66.
So that thing has been floating around in space for 50 plus years.
Yeah, 54 years.
Huh.
It's cool. So it was part of a. So they before the landing on the moon, they sent some robotic spacecraft to the moon to land on the moon, take pictures or whatever before they sent the manned mission in '69.
Yeah.
And this one, I think it said something that the actual surveyor that was mounted to the top of this rocket when it went to the moon, that one actually crashed, like they lost it.
Yeah.
But the rocket body that lifted it off and took it to the moon kept going on its trajectory. And I didn't read how far out it's going. I don't know if it goes into that, but it shows like the ellipse of the orbit. And one of the videos that's on the screen there, it passes around the Earth about once or twice. I'm watching the video on its second orbit, and then does it come back once more? Nope, goes way back out again. So it won't come back again for, I don't know, another 54 years or something.
Wouldn't it, if it does come back, wouldn't it eventually, based on its trajectory, come back into our orbit and finally land? Or is it just stuck in a loop? I wonder.
It's stuck in a loop based on, it should be pulled closer, but the way things go on orbits, the way that their paths are, is that they actually can be, you've heard the term in some of the movies where they talk about being slingshot around a planetary object.
Yep. So
that's what it's doing. It actually doesn't have the right trajectory to come back into the atmosphere. So it's actually being pulled by the gravity, pulled hard enough that it stays in orbit, speeds it up, but throws it out the other side because it doesn't have any change to its orbital path.
Until a meteor hits it.
Yeah, in another life, I would have loved to have been part of NASA. That's that kind of stuff is fascinating to me. I love watching that movie. Was it not Numbers? What's it called?
Movie?
Yeah, where the
Interstellar.
No, the black ladies are mathematicians and they're in the back rooms trying to figure out all this stuff, and it's during
Isn't it just mathematicians?
No. I think it's called Numbers.
Space movie. 3 black women. Sorry, I'm not.
It's a very, very good movie.
Thank you.
Historical Hidden Figures.
That was actually a really good movie.
Yeah, I just watched it again not too long ago.
It's 3 mathematicians. One of them was helping with a bunch of the higher ups, formulating plans to do it. This one of them somehow got stuck with the computer programming of translating the information.
She chose to figure out how the IBM worked.
Right. And then I forgot what this other woman did.
Engineer Mary Jackson, mathematician Katherine Johnson, and NASA supervisor Dorothy Vaughan.
Yeah. I still forgot what she did. I think she was the mathematician.
She became an engineer. That one you're pointing at.
This one?
Yes. She went to school. Remember, they wouldn't let her in school.
Then what was she doing?
That's the engineer, the one you're pointing at.
You said this was the engineer when I was
You
there.
were moving your cursor back and forth.
So this one's the engineer, this one's the mathematician, this one's the supervisor.
No.
You just said.
Look, listen to me.
I am.
This
is the one I'm pointing at right now.
Our audience can't see what you're pointing
That's fine. So they can hear us banter.
She became the engineer. She became a flight engineer.
Yes, I got that.
The one in the green.
This one.
We're looking at
this one
cover of the video. She became the one who was a supervisor over the IBM computer. She figured out how to program it, and when the guys who were setting it up couldn't even figure it out.
Okay, and this one?
She's the one who was the mathematician who figured out the orbit and return orbit numbers using crazy math.
Okay, now I got it. Just making sure. I confirmed it with the cast. Because I had the thought that she was the mathematician and she was the supervisor. The only reason I thought she was a supervisor because she was in the same floor as the other higher ups. That's the only reason why I was thinking.
Yeah, scroll back down. So,
yeah,
Taraji P. Henson, she played the role of Katherine Johnson. Octavia Spencer, Dorothy Vaughn, she played the IBM wizard. And Janelle Monáe, she played Mary Jackson, the engineer. And Kevin Costner was Al Harrison, the supervisor of that particular math section or that particular. Oh, who else was in there? What's his name from?
Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang Theory.
I forgot his name.
His name Jim something.
Jim Patterson.
The guy who's the
who plays Sheldon.
Sheldon, the nerd. Yeah, he was the irritating guy who didn't want to share.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jim Parsons.
Jim Parsons.
Forgive me.
Yeah, he was in there too. But
yeah, he was kind of like he played as a character, just a stuck-up character that wanted credit and figure out all this other stuff, and
couldn't believe that this
black lady,
was
able to do all this stuff.
Outdoing him in math and stuff, and just in her head most of the time she'd look at stuff and go, "Well, that's wrong."
Yeah.
It's like, what? Yeah, excellent movie. Please watch it. I think you'll enjoy it.
It's not a Christmas movie, but
could be. I think there's Christmas in there somewhere.
I don't think so.
It was like one of the things where she met somebody.
No, it doesn't focus around Christmas.
The amazing thing about that particular primary character is that she did all that with having kids and being single.
You're talking about the actor?
Back in the 60s.
Okay.
The real life person. Anyway, watch the movie. What else about, so we were talking about the Christmas star that got us off on a NASA kick. I listened to a song that I had never heard before, and I'm not going to go through all the lyrics. You'll just have to listen to it for yourself. It's called "Merry Christmas from the Family," and the songwriter was Robert Earl Keen Jr. Very, very kind of funny. It was things like Cousin David knew just went wrong, so we all waited out on our front lawn. He threw the breaker and the lights came on, and we all sang Silent Night, oh Silent Night. Carve the turkey, turn the ball game on, make Bloody Marys because we'll all want one. Send somebody to the stop and go. We need some celery and a can of fake snow. So anyway, I listened to it. It was funny.
Yep, and that is a
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.
That's been our Christmas podcast. Hasn't been really a Christmas podcast. It's kind of spacey, and then
today's Christmas Day.
Today is Christmas Day.
December 25th, 2020.
2020, the last of its kind.
This is the last day that today will ever happen.
For this year.
No.
For any year.
This is the last day that today will ever happen. This is a quote by Ken Ruchow.
Yes. We appreciate your time here, and we hope to see you soon. Keep an eye out for that game.
Send us notes. Send us suggestions. We love you guys.
See ya. Have Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.